Joining me now is Sky News contributor Louise Roberts and news.com.au entertainment reporter Bronte Coy. Louise, what were the most notable parts of the show for you?
I think with Love Meghan is less about lifestyle tips and things you can actually use in your own home and more about a rebranding exercise for Meghan, because she really wants to portray herself as this sort of very caring, loving, significant person who has this love language of feeding her friends, which is, of course, is a million miles away from the reputation she has and how she's treated her own family and indeed Harry's family as well. But I think she's trying to move away from the royal victim narrative to I am now a domestic goddess. But wow, I mean, some of the kitschy and cringe moments, I mean, there are so many to focus on. I'll try and focus on a few here now. There's the pretzel moment where, of course, she decants some store-bought pretzels into a plastic bag for her makeup artist, Daniel, to make his room look pretty. And, of course, that's what we all do with our chips and dips and stuff at home, isn't it? And also, she seems to be blissfully unaware that he's left-handed. He has to tell her this as part of the narrative as well. So I sort of question how well she actually knows him. There's the bacon narrative, where when she says that apparently when she cooks bacon in the kitchen, her husband, aka Harry, she doesn't actually name him personally, comes racing into the kitchen along with their dogs, and she makes this comment, "My bacon brings all the boys to the yard," which is just so wrong and just awful, really. I mean, on top of that, of course, she's not actually in her own home. She's in a rented cottage up the road from their $25 million Montecito mansion. So the authenticity is, or the lack of authenticity is really staring you in the face every single episode. So, I mean, is it a hate watch? Possibly, but it's gripping for probably all the wrong reasons.
Bronte, what are your thoughts? I think something that kind of grabbed me was the fact that Meghan kind of watches or waits and watches for what people say. And if they don't, it seems like if they don't say exactly what she wants them to say, her face almost falls.
Look, it was such an interesting watch. We waited a very long time for this show, and I have said so many times in the past on this program as well, I really wanted to like it. I've always said I think that she needs to move into this area to really draw the line in the sand on the bottom of, all the narrative about the victimhood after the royal family clashes she'd had. And so I thought this could be it. This could really be her leaning into her passion area and something she has been very passionate about in the past, even before Harry. Unfortunately, it truly was so boring. I watched it from the first episode all the way through, and I kept waiting for it to get more interesting. And I was reviewing it later thinking, why has this come across as so beige? Because it is actually a compliment to her that I simply refuse to believe that she is that boring. But when I was watching it, I realised it's because she pulls out of ever saying anything that's overly personal. It's, you're listening to her gift wrap and talk about gift wrapping, and she says, oh, well, when I was an auditioning actor, I taught gift wrapping classes, but then says nothing else about it. And that in itself is not a huge fact that's going to change the world. But at the same time, it's something about her that we could have learned. And I think that she's having it's still ongoing a little bit of an identity crisis after her royal years about who she is. I mean, we've got what the public thinks of her, we've got who she thinks that she wants to be, and then somewhere in the middle there has to be this rebrand land, which is, what the new Meghan is going to look like now. And I just think that she hasn't landed the plane on that at all, which is a shame because I think this was an opportunity to do it. There's such a market for aspirational television, but there also has to be a bit of self-awareness that comes with it. And there wasn't that. As you've said, she seemed almost uncertain in a lot of parts about what her guests were going to say, about how it was all going to look. And you didn't feel like she ever relaxed into the role. And this was such an opportunity for us to see the real Meg that she's been trying to sell to us for so long. So in that regard, it really was just disappointing. I was so disappointed to be bored because this could have been good. It could have worked.
Louise, the reviews across the board pretty much were damning. What struck you?
Well, it was universally panned as inauthentic, as we've said. I mean, she's not in her own home for a start, but also if you're a lifestyle guru, reality is your main thing. That's your unique selling point. You're being real in your own home with your family. There's eggs being dropped on the floor or the dog's being sick in the corner, whatever, and you're actually in your own kitchen, your own garden, harvesting your own vegetables or, making your own cakes, whatever. So that lack of authenticity, I think, quite rightly has been called out across the board by everyone. I mean, some of the comments have been more savage, saying it's an exercise in narcissism. I think The Economist in the UK called her Marie Antoinette, which is probably a bit accurate given there's so many cakes that get cycled through this series. So, you know, if she was looking for sort of love and attention, she didn't get it from the critiques, that's for sure.
Bronte, surely there were some positive reviews.
Honestly, they were actually very hard to find. You've got sort of certain areas of the media who were probably never going to like the output that was based on Meghan alone. But with that said, even places like Variety, which is an industry Bible and who would traditionally be probably a bit more sympathetic to Meghan, they absolutely panned it. So there weren't a lot of positive reviews. There was one I saw on the Nightly by Seven's Edwina Bartholomew, who said that, you know, it's no At Home with Haz and Megs, which a lot of people probably wanted to see, but it is great television and very glossy and a great start to her forging a new path. But, you know, of course, we've got the Sussex camp who there's a legion of fans there who are very passionately in defence of Meghan, and they have been writing nice things. But in terms of actual TV critic reviews, it has been universally panned, as Louise said. With that said, curiosity, whether from her very passionate fans or from her very passionate detractors, has seen it land in the top 10. So she celebrated that and made mention of it herself. But she would surely have to be disappointed by the fact that even places that are, you know, that she would have probably expected a little bit more sympathy from have said it just comes across as quite inauthentic and boring.